Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Kingdom Sports, your source for everything related to the NFL, XFL, and the great game of football. In today's video, we are back with part 2 of our 8-part series on XFL quarterbacks, this time venturing out to the swamp to see just how deadly the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Vipers, Aaron Murray, can be when the first snap of the XFL is taken on February 8th. Aaron Murray, who came in at a below average 6'1" and 202 pounds during his NFL Combine, was originally drafted in the 4th round to the one and only Kansas City Chiefs back in 2014, who at the time looked to be an exciting prospect among other quarterbacks Johnny Manziel and Zach Mettenberger, but after never getting to take a regular season snap in the NFL, he joined his two fellow quarterbacks as huge busts for every team that drafted them. And while every single one of these three quarterbacks ended up playing in the AAF, after that league collapsed, Murray stands alone in the XFL, the last chance for a now 29-year-old quarterback to prove that he's more than just the guy drafted before the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. But before all of this, Aaron Murray set records as one of the greatest SEC quarterbacks to ever play the sport. While playing under Mark Ritt, Aaron Murray obtained the Georgia records for the most touchdown passes in a season and a career, most completions in a career, best passer efficiency rating in a season and a career. He also holds the SEC record for passing touchdowns and the SEC record for total yards. I mean, this guy is the real deal. And despite a torn ACL during his senior year, Aaron Murray was able to outperform every single one of his predicted metrics and cemented himself as the best quarterback to ever play for the Bulldogs. So the question you should be asking is basically, what went wrong? What took a guy who was playing so well in the college level and basically made him an absolute failure when it came to the NFL? Well, before we get to that, after a short stunt in the NFL in which he played 4 preseason games with 0 touchdowns and 7 turnovers, Murray spent 5 years not playing a single snap in any league, until in 2019 he'd be offered an opportunity to lead a team in the newly developed AAF. Aaron Murray would go on and play for the Atlanta Legends, where he would see his first start filling in for an injured Matt Sims during Week 5, leading the team to their first win of the season. Not only that, but he would go on to replace Sims as the starting QB and lead the Legends to a win the following week as well. Now his stats in total for the AAF was a 64.8% completion percentage, 1,048 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And on the ground he had 19 carries for 96 yards and 3 fumbles. But while it might be tempting to dismiss Aaron after this disappointing stats, it should be noted that the guy was playing for the literal dumpster fire that was the Atlanta Legends, whose star player was the boy Young-Ho Koo, their kicker, and who couldn't even get the guy who would fight dogs to be their offensive coordinator for the pigsty of an organization. It's unfair to judge Aaron Murray for not being able to perform under these conditions, and honestly he looks impressive compared to Matt Sims' stats, seeing as he played a third of the games as the guy who had about as much brain as a literal sim when you put it in a pool. Jumping into Aaron Murray's strengths, we can see first and foremost that Aaron Murray is a smart guy. Murray's got a huge football IQ and he uses it well to read defenses, find open receivers, and trick coverages with copious uses of pump fakes and fake head movement. A smart QB can often work through physical limitations, something that Aaron Murray proved while playing for Georgia. Not only that, but Aaron Murray is a quick guy and can use his legs to extend plays and run the ball for yardage. This puts a bigger limiter on the defense than one might expect. When you're playing against a QB who can beat you around the corner and make plays all on his own, it forces you to run simpler coverage schemes to attempt to compensate, something a guy like Murray can take full advantage of, putting defenders in a lose-lose situation whether Murray runs the ball or if he throws it across the air. Finally, Aaron Murray is a textbook leader, able to get the most out of his players and drive them to a new level of performance. As we've seen with quarterbacks like Andy Dalton and Jay Cutler, if you can't command respect or inspire your men, it just doesn't matter how good of a player you might be on paper, you're not going to be winning games. Moving on to weaknesses, one most commonly stating during his college days was that Aaron Murray simply can't perform during big games, getting in his own head and choking when it matters. And while this sentiment is over-exaggerated in the most part, it does ring true partially, and part of what hurts Aaron Murray is that he can tend to overthink things, refusing to allow himself to play a simple game of football. Going alongside this, Aaron Murray most certainly feels pressure whether it's there or not. It oftentimes can overwhelm him, leading to Murray throwing interceptions or getting sacked when he could have easily scrambled out of pressure or thrown the ball away, his nerves getting the better of him. But by far most importantly, and what's going to be impacting him most in the XFL is Aaron Murray's weak arm, meaning he can't throw the long ball like he should, and that his accuracy on mid to long range passes is disappointing. The fact of the matter is that you can get away with having a weaker arm in college where windows are bigger and coverage is looser, as long as your playmaking skills and knowledge are up to snuff. When you get to the NFL, this isn't nearly true anymore. In fact, it's rather the opposite. By this point, the other quarterbacks have caught up to a guy like Aaron Murray when it comes to awareness and general football IQ. And while it continues to develop as a QB does, raw arm strength is difficult, if not impossible, for quarterbacks to improve after leaving college. Aaron Murray's skill set was, by definition, not going to be able to take him anywhere after leaving the Bulldogs. If you think about it, Aaron Murray can be considered the total opposite of his other Tampa Bay counterpart Jameis Winston, in that he's an intelligent QB with a weak arm that can read a defense and find openings to abuse, whereas Jameis Winston is 30 for 30 in touchdowns and interceptions. That is, a quarterback that can abuse his immense talent to throw absolute beams across field, but due to poor decision making, throws the ball to the opposing team just as much as he does to his own guys. The difference is Winston has the opportunity to continue to develop. He can learn how to make better decisions and keep the ball safe on throws. Now, is this guaranteed to happen? No, absolutely not. Jameis Winston has demonstrated time and time again that he lacks self-awareness to try to make up for his own mistakes. But when it comes to Murray, you can't just teach the guy to throw the ball harder. You gotta understand that these guys are already at the peak of their own athletic ability, so just getting more gym time in doesn't help. And unlike a guy like Tebow, who's limited by his poor throwing technique, Murray doesn't have any other limiters besides his own genetics that are preventing him from being able to really get the ball out hot like he should be doing. This brings us back to the XFL, where Aaron Murray will be giving the challenge of leading this new team from Tampa Bay to greatness. Fortunately for him, this should be nowhere near the challenge he faced at the AAF, as Murray now has an actually good coaching staff to be able to give him direction with head coach Mark Treisman and quarterback coach Josh Neiswander. More importantly, Tampa Bay seems to be leaning into Aaron Murray's strengths as a game manager type who struggles to make long passes, giving him quite possibly the best tight end in the league with Nick Truesdell, a strong option for Murray to hit with some shallow and mid-range passes, as well as a powerful running team that will give him some breathing room and take away some of that pressure that could often get to his head. Overall, I do think that we will be able to see success out of Aaron Murray for the Tampa Bay Vipers. In fact, I think he's going to be in the upper half of the quarterbacks that are going to be playing in the XFL. Unlike the NFL, the XFL is going to be much more lenient on its coverage by defenders simply because of their skill, meaning that Murray's arm is not as big of a factor as it did when he played for the Chiefs. Not only that, but his team has been designed with him in mind, meaning that Murray will be able to take full advantage of his intelligence when it comes to the game. Not only that, but unlike a lot of the guys he'll be facing out in the field, Aaron Murray is fairly young at 29, and along with his decent speed, the Vipers will have another threat that opposing teams will constantly have to keep track of. But most importantly, and this matters more than everything else that Aaron Murray has demonstrated, he has the determination of a successful quarterback. Everywhere he's been, other players and coaches have had nothing but praise of his leadership skills and pure grit and determination. You can't teach a guy to want to win, and Aaron Murray demonstrates that despite all his hangups, despite his biological setbacks, that he wants to win more than anything else. And if I was the Tampa Bay Vipers, I wouldn't want anyone else besides a guy like that leading my team. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking along with Red Kingdom Sports as we continue this series on XFL quarterbacks. I know it's played out, but I would really like to ask you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and tell me in the comments what you think we can do to improve our videos in the future, as well as what you'd like to see, what kind of content that we'll be putting out as well. Again, I want to do as much as I can for this channel to help it continue to grow, and it's your support and help that's going to assist me in doing that. So, once again, thanks for watching. Have a good night.